Hi, it's Romy. Welcome to the channel Aquarius. This is your April 2021 soul story. So if you have your sun rising or your moon is in the sign, then my readings are general, but they might give you some insight and messages that are going to help you to navigate the next 2 weeks. So we are looking into Aries fire energy. We open up with the Queen of Wands. Now, fire and air, very combustible force. Things can get really lit up. We can feel exceptionally motivated. The desire to start to create, to invite in new energy, to see the progress. And I have a sense that you're going to have a very powerful, strong sense of direction through the course of April that might have been missing for a little while for some of you. It's a defining moment, and with it, I think you're going to be making some defining declarations, both to yourself and perhaps those around you. I want you to be bold. I want you to be affirmative, because it's that kind of action that's actually really starting to change the way that you think. And, you know, in third house energy that's being lit up by Aries season for you, Aquarius, this is about how you communicate, the thoughts that you're thinking. And, it's a time when you can really break free from the matrix and start to observe from a completely different perspective who you are, your role and your part to play, and how things have influenced you and impacted you up to this point. And seeing now new roads, new pathways, new journeys forming for you as a result of the way that your attitude and your mindset is shifting. It's really powerful. Beautiful creative energy as well through Aries season. And when Mercury moves into the sign on the 3rd and we build up to this new moon on the 11th, anything that you want to do by way of creative projects, anything to do with work and business, fantastic to be harnessing that and really working with the fresh new energy of the beginning of this new astrological year. You may also have a very inspiring, passionate, kind of zestful person who's around you that may well be a fire sign or just someone expressing that energy, Aries, Sagittarius or Leo. And I think that's also going to kind of get you going. You feel inspired and lit up alongside them. The other thing that I think is going to take place through this month of April for you, Aquarius, is that there's this theme of relevance. All of a sudden, I think you're going to be noticing things that are far more relevant for you, signs that have been sort of perfectly placed in your path, and realizing that maybe things you've dismissed or kind of not, maybe appreciated previously, that can all of a sudden be an advantage to you, or you have an interest in them, or sometimes like they're activating sort of a hidden potential or gift that you might have. And so this theme of relevance is going to be really significant. You might even be asking yourself the question, is this relevant? And that's going to be very beneficial when you're trying to figure out where to direct your energy. And because in Aries season, there is this kind of impulsivity and this slight recklessness that we have, because there's a level of impatience to just get going. And you're going to have that really strong by way of wanting to make plans and get on the move with things. So the relevance of it is also going to just temper and give you a little bit of grounding where you need it most. I think it's also going to help you to perhaps identify where there might be some helpful and positive shortcuts. You don't always have to do it the hard way, There is an easier way to do it, Aquarius, and perhaps through this month of April, you're also beginning to, start to identify the way in which you can see that for yourself. Like we said, you're on the move, 6 of Swords. Now, there is a little bit of emotional distance that I think you're also creating between you and a situation that might have been a bit hot and heavy, or really fueled with some sort of conflict, or that kind of very just combative kind of vibe. And if that is the case, like, you are absolutely moving towards an energy that feels much calmer, much more soul soothing, much more progressive and helpful for what it is that you're trying to do. I actually think there's quite a rapid progress that's going to be coming, and a rapid movement away. The kind of boat that you're in here, and the fact that you have the oar and the water is quite calm, there's no resistance here. And so actually you're going to make headway really powerfully through the course of this month, which I think is great as well. You're also, I believe, because of this kind of energy of movement away, it's like you're creating space because you want to create choice for yourself. And what that means is that there's also perhaps a releasing of commitment that's required as well. And again, if you sort of ask yourself those questions of relevance, you might actually find that there's nothing more that you need to give to a particular situation, or there is coming like a natural point of ending or kind of conclusion that's emerging through the course of April with certain aspects of your life as well. And so I don't see any sense of you feeling sad or even kind of too overly caught up in the kind of going over that decision. I feel it's quite quick and decisive, and there's just like a natural kind of acceptance that comes from it, which feels really positive. I think that you're also understanding more than ever that boundaries really help you to enjoy people around you rather than resenting them more. And so, sometimes it's those nearest and dearest people in your life that you have to work even harder to kind of keep those boundaries in place. And I see you managing to do that in a very powerful way through the course of April as well, Aquarius, sorry. So we have the energy of the Fool coming in, and there is this sense of almost like an unexpected vibe in the air. Now that makes sense because through the end of April we have this whole series of conjunctions that are coming in with Uranus, 22nd with Venus, 24th with Mercury, and then the 30th with the Sun. Ahead of that we've got a full moon in Scorpio on the 26th. So the revelations, the information, the news, and the kind of bolt out of the blue, really surprising encounters that are going to come in at that point really are going to open something up in quite a significant way for you. You have a fantastic vantage point here, right on the edge of this cliff, looking out at the horizon, looking out at the landscape before you. At the moment, your head is firmly up in the clouds, kind of thinking about vision and future and possibility. But very soon, you're actually going to see exactly what's coming in front of you. Now, with Uranus, there is this sense of it being very unexpected. It should come in terms of good news, positivity. Sometimes it can feel a little bit disruptive and not what we had planned or anticipated for ourselves. The little dog here seems to want to be bolting in the opposite direction. So there might be a little bit of a tendency that comes up from you that you want to run from something. And I know that sounds a bit strange, but I want you to just stop and think about what it is that you're trying to run from, because it might just be that there's a really bold, big opportunity on the horizon, or maybe somebody new by way of love, or maybe something that's coming in that's going to materially affect the way that you live your life, or have some huge impact on your pathway. And actually what you're feeling like you want to run away from is just the boldness and the risk and the leap of faith that's going to be required in order to meet it and to embrace it, okay? So I feel like there's quite a lot of exciting things that are going to come in. And remember, if back at the beginning of the month you are having this sort of moment where you feel like you want to make this declaration about your life, and then something comes in that's kind of matching the vastness of that, don't be surprised. It's kind of like, well, you're getting what you asked for. You wanted your whole life to change. Well, here you go. So things are getting lit up in quite a powerful way in that sense, okay? But we also have this awareness, I think, that there has been loss, there has been challenge, there has been struggle, because your Six of Swords is showing me that rite of passage that you've been on lately, kind of took you down to your core. It stripped you right back. And, sometimes having to revisit those emotions can sort of put us almost in a state of paralysis. But there's also a reminder that loss brings about the appreciation of what joy is and our relationship to it. And I think there's something about this month of April where you're really getting a handle on that whole dynamic, and how you are sort of observing, considering, reflecting on the challenge, the struggle, the loss, the grief, and where the joy, the spark, the creativity, the newness of the pathways that are starting to come in, and what that means to you. Now, your Knight of Swords does suggest that there is some powerful news traveling towards you, some swift changes that are in front of you. It's an air energy. You're used to speaking the language of whatever this is and how it's coming at you. And you are, more than most, able to adapt quickly. You have that level of resourcefulness, that tenacity to situations. I am getting between the Queen and the Knight a little bit of an aggressive vibe coming through, and I don't feel this is you. So I'm going to say to you, just keep an eye out for situations and people that kind of have that energy very active in their vibration at the moment. They'll have something to teach you, and even if it's just about the way that you respond and what you learn from that, that's going to be exceptionally valuable. We have on the 12th Juno, the asteroid goddess, going retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius. Now she rules marriages, soulmates, commitments, love. Her energy is very similar to Venus. This retrograde season is going through to the 24th. Now, the asteroid retrograde don't have as heavy an impact as the personal planets do, but it's still something to keep in mind and understand the relevance of, because it's going to have you doing some real profound checks and balances within yourself and the important connections and relationships in your life. You're going to be internalizing some of the stuff that has gone on, perhaps reflecting back to people from your past, what they mean to you now, how you want to redefine things on your terms moving forward, so that the timelines, the agendas, the paths that you're putting in place and that you're building and dutifully kind of investing yourself in are actually what you want and they're right for you. You know, this is like we said about you getting to a stage where you're opening things up so that you have a lot more choice coming in. And what the third house does is it's helping us to make plans, but more importantly, it's helping us to change the way that we think about who we are, like the mythology that we have kind of invested and activated in, you know, what our life has meant and what our purpose is about. And you know, as we start to change our language and it moves from being more exhaustive to more inspiring, to more hopeful, to more directed towards things do work for me, you know, I am in the right place at the right time, and just being so mindful of that, you're really starting to feel a lot more secure emotionally. Now, when we come into Taurus energy, we're moving into your 4th house, which really is the indication of your emotional stability. It's what's going on closer to home. So there might be some family situations, there might be some discussions that are happening in and around property for you. We've got the King of Swords energy here, so there is a little bit of a vibe going on between the Knight and the King of like very, very clear, clarifying information, and I think that can be immensely valuable to you. So what I do want to say is you are going to know exactly where you stand through this month of April. Now, that isn't always a comfortable place, because sometimes the truth can be a bit like, oh, okay. However, what I do think is that it gives you the opportunity to make a much more informed decision when you have all of the information to hand. And because this is a month where conversations and communication, it's much more open, you know, it's like we've got our eyes wide awake, and it is this sense of you kind of seeing things in a totally new light, and perhaps people in a new light in this month. It's going to help you to make those right choices for you, and putting yourself first, standing up for yourself is really significant. I need you to just be reminded as well, Aquarius, that the universe isn't taking care of your well-being. You know, your physicality, your well-being is about you taking responsibility for how you support your energy to meet all of the inspiration and the energy flow that's coming towards you to help you with learning, developing and growing. But it's not about constantly defaulting and giving away that sense of responsibility. And even when we tune into listening to what astrology is doing or how the cards are helping us, still has to come back to that moment of like, what do I need to do to take care of me? And am I doing those things? And you know, or am I outsourcing it to the point where I'm absolving myself of the responsibility of it? So there's an important conversation that I think the King of Swords wants to have with you that's kind of direct and honest and is going to pull you up, but it's going to be really valuable because it's part of this pilgrimage, if you like, this rite of passage that's helping you to move on and get to the place where you're going to be confident enough to embrace some of the bigger changes and the things that you want for yourself, because we want you to dream bigger and bolder. We want you to be in that place. You know, this is a year where you can make tremendous progress and advancement for yourself if you're prepared to kind of really see yourself moving in that direction and know that you are worthy of it. So if you have got another air sign, it could be an Aquarius, Gemini or Libra, or certainly someone that's using their words very powerfully. And remember, where Mars is still in Gemini, you know, up until, when does it move? On the 23rd it moves into Cancer. But the way that people are talking is pretty direct. It can be a little bit cutting, a little bit ouchy. However, again, we've got this sense of you being able to spin what you are hearing, what you are receiving, and understand and know what you need to do with it to make a situation even better, to advance yourself, make yourself better. I also see that you, though, by way of your expression, are absolutely nailing it. So if this is a time where you have to do well at an interview, where you have to put something out into the universe, if you have to have a really important conversation with somebody by way of a relationship, then you are able to articulate yourself more clearly than ever, and that's going to feel really good, because you're not going to come away from the conversation feeling like, oh my goodness, I was tied up in knots, or I didn't say what I meant to say. It's like you're going to come away feeling really calm. What's important is you then have to let it go. You know, when you come at something from a place of I've absolutely given it my best, then you just then need to let the energy play out from that point forth. You're not responsible or indeed in control of what anyone else chooses to take from what you have to say or how you show up energetically, okay? And getting clearer about that and giving yourself permission to just do what you need to do in the moment and then move away from it and keep progressing is one of the most liberating things I think you're going to be learning about yourself, not just now, but you know, through the course of 2021, because it gets you off the hook of like taking everything so personally or absorbing what other people's projections are, or kind of second guessing yourself or untangling things after the event. That's just not going to be helpful for you, yeah? So we have the Sun and Mercury moving into Taurus on the 19th, and Venus moves into the sign from the 14th. Venus loves to be in Taurus. It's her natural place, and there's just this gorgeous sense of emotional contentment, bringing in a sense of sensuality and just a real focus on what feels good, what you need to have around you that kind of nurtures and sustains you. And you know, that Taurus energy with your 4th house really is going to put an emphasis on creating space around you that feels more beautiful. Now we've got the 10 of Cups here, this gorgeous rainbow coming in with a bright, beautiful blessing for you through the course of this month. And remember, the bolder you are with the statements of what you want for yourself, let the universe meet you at that vibrational point. Don't be a shrinking violet. This is absolutely a time to say, yes, I'm going for it. We have this big, powerful full moon in Scorpio on the 26th. Now, these moons, they bring things to fruition. Yes, there's a sense of drama that always comes with it. It's a water moon, so it's going to be extra emotional, extra intense because it's Scorpio. A focus on money, a focus on relationships, a focus on feeling things deeply. But at the same time, what we're looking at with the 10 of Cups is something coming to fruition that's going to make you feel good. It's going to make you realize that what you invested in or what you had set in your sights was actually worthwhile, okay? So it should be a sweet little reward that comes in. Remember, these full moon energies, you can feel them a couple of days before and for the full 2 weeks afterwards before we reach that new moon in the sign of Taurus. So the Uranus conjunctions are also going to potentially bring that in quite unexpectedly. Now, you've got the 7 of Wands because I think there is a need, like we said, for you to stand up for yourself through the course of this month. But you have a strong sense of self and a strong sense of direction. And that is a defining moment. And it's probably for some of you the time when you need to display that by way of some of the key relationships that you've got in your life. And not be afraid to just keep going. And it's like, have that conversation, but don't stop. You know, it's up to that person to then reflect and to process what you've said and to choose to meet you in the new version of self. And hopefully that they're doing the same work on themselves. So regardless of the relationships, whether it's personal, professional, or within the family, careful you don't get into the energy of being too defensive about choices and decisions that you're making. That can sometimes kind of emerge. It's almost like that little bit of a sense of feeling guilty. Now, there is a vibe of guilt tripping that comes in, especially when Mars moves into Cancer. It's how we feel our way forward, but Mars doesn't really like being in that water sign, so it gets a little passive aggressive, a little moody, and a little challenging to deal with. It's a bit of that sort of spoiled, kind of indulgent type of behavior from people. So if you've got some of these emotional tantrums playing out, you might find yourself moving into the justification role. This is why I said it. This is why I'm doing it. This is why I want it. And you need to catch yourself there, because what we're wanting to do, like we said, is break free from this matrix that's kind of locking you in and saying this is who you are and this is what you must do and this is how you must act. It's not about that anymore. You know, we want to tap into the free-spirited nature of the Fool here, and you can do that. You know, that is your natural energy. You know, there's the energy of Uranus coming in with the Fool, and it's connected to your sign really beautifully. The Eight of Swords brings in this level of stress, okay, but we can deal with this. You know, how do we deal with it? First of all, we understand that we're going to overcome any challenge that comes our way. You absolutely have whatever it takes. You have it within you. And you also come at it from changing the way that you're thinking about it. Your Magician energy is almost making me feel like there's a sense of overstimulation, you know, especially through Aries energy. It will settle a bit more when we come into Taurus season, but I have this kind of vibe that you are wanting, once you understand something and it lands, you know, and you're just like, oh wow, this is how I feel about a thing, or this is what I want, a new desire is born, or something like this. And then all of a sudden you're acutely aware of the restriction or the inability to manifest or make that happen instantly, because Aries wants instant gratification, right? So that's what the overall language of the stars is going to be saying to you. I want it now. Buy it big, or, you know, tell them everything, or let's go now. And so that kind of a pressure when you're in a situation that might not afford you the luxury to be able to kind of follow through immediately, you know, with your actions against your words, can put you in the energy of this Eight of Swords. What we need to understand, though, is she's bound herself up in this, you know, and that these are all things that one by one we can work through. Sometimes I think the Eight of Swords is just our way of giving ourselves a moment of escapism by needing to avoid something because there's something deeper that we're processing. And that's about asking the right questions, which is another thing that's come up really strongly through the course of April. It's like, what are the questions you're asking? And are they the right ones through the course of April? Because that can completely redefine everything, you know? It's like if you're saying to yourself, why is there no love in my life? Why do I not have money in my life? Or this is what I want. You know, this is what I'm looking for. And the universe turns around and say, okay, you know, you're saying what you want, but let's understand what the root cause is that's stopping you. So looking at it from a different place and putting yourself in the energy of saying, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed. It's kind of like a procrastinating, let's slow it down because there's something else I know I need to learn about myself. And if you know that that's what's going on, then it can immediately just settle the tension in your physical body. As soon as you let that tension go, those ropes are going to fall away, and then you can take the blindfold off and you can literally circumnavigate every single one of these swords. Okay, so just keep that in mind if that's something that is coming up for you. So let's take a look at your oracle cards for this month. On the 20th, we've got Vesta, this asteroid goddess, beautiful spiritual priestess energy coming in. She's moving direct in the sign of Virgo, which is our natural ruler, and bringing in a beautiful sense of stillness and peace and sacred space. And even though the Eight of Swords, again, can bring that stress and tension, I actually feel quite quiet. Again, I'm looking at the Six. You know, the Six of Swords, the Eight of Swords are your moments of just saying, I need some time out. I need some time out. Because it's an opportunity to reconnect to your inner flame, and that's everything, because when you're going to be making these bold, defining declarations, affirmative kind of inspired actions, you're going to need that moment of recharge. Okay, so your oracle card is answers within, and just like we were saying, the internal light that keeps you lit up, how do you access that? You know, she's coming out of this flower, and this is her sanctuary, this is her place of peace. And, you know, we have this beautiful night sky illuminated with the stars. So you're getting a lot of help by way of the cosmos, excuse me, guiding you. And it's a crystal clear night sky. You know, there's no fog, there's no haze here. Her face is beautifully illuminated. And so the answers are coming. Just make sure you're asking the right questions. Like I said, there's relevance. There's relevance. That's the theme through the course of this month for you. And there's new awareness. I feel like your guides are around you so strongly at the moment. And even just taking that moment to connect into a simple tea light or a candle or a flame and focusing your mind if you feel very overstimulated is a beautiful way to just settle your energy and to just reconnect into your own higher self and listen to what is coming through for you. Okay, so these are flower medicine cards. I'll just see what April's energy wants to be for you. Buttercup, child, beautiful. kind of want to say chin up, buttercup. You know, it's just that lovely, gentle, nurturing energy that you would receive from somebody that says, hey, it's going to be all right, you're okay, you're okay. So I feel there's a moment where you just might be kind of having that almost sense of paralysis within you, or doubt or uncertainty that's kind of got you up in knots, and we just want you to let yourself be guided by the beauty of the nurturing energy that surrounds you. Perhaps it's somebody in the physical, perhaps it's somebody that's transitioned, who's just stepping in to give you that kind of warm, angelic hug, reminding you of the innocence, reminding you to reconnect to your inner child, and just find that sense of hopefulness in any situation. You know, buttercups, there's just that gorgeous sense of vibrant yellow, aren't they? Which links into our sense of joy. And remember what I said, loss is often this beautiful reminder of what our relationship to joy is about. And so if that's something you've experienced, you're also redefining that, and it's giving you cause for an opportunity to take care of yourself in new ways, and also to honor it really beautifully. Don't be too controlled with yourself, you know, by way of emotions. I see as he's holding the hawk here, there's just this kind of tightness of holding back in the emotional energy at time. It's not a time to do that. Just be free and expressive with it. Aries fire wants you to have that passion, that zest for life. And even if that brings a cathartic purging or a release on an emotional level for you, it's still going to make way for a renewed sense of hope and optimism. So these are astrological cards. We'll just see how they want to join the conversation. Okay, so you have the 10th house, structure, discipline, life, mission, accomplishments, and career. Now that scorpionic moon that we've got on the 26th of the month is lighting up your 10th house of career. So again, something coming in toward the end of the month could be exceptionally valuable, coming to fruition, or exciting by way of its revelation for you in something to do with career terms. You have your owl here, so there's a huge sense of discernment and wisdom that you need to apply about what the next step is. I also want to say to you that the kind of wisdom from that 10th house is very connected into father energy, masculine, divine masculine energy. And with that King of Swords here as well, there might be something that you're healing and dealing with on that kind of level that's going to be helpful by way of the foundation and the emotional stability that you need in order to make progress in the legacy or the purpose or the soul journey that you've got by way of work, career, or just how you want to move through the world if you're not necessarily connecting in on a kind of work and career path at the moment. But tremendous wisdom and breakthrough that's coming in for you in relation to that, okay? It is a bit of an interesting balance between kind of the softness and the kind of the joy of what you're experiencing right now versus the hardship and the kind of harder angles that you've been bumping up against. But you're navigating it beautifully. You are finding a stronger sense of direction than you ever have before, and it really is going to be quite a defining month for you, I believe. So this is a general reading. I hope you've enjoyed listening. If you want to connect with me for the extended version, Aquarius, then we're going to pull a couple of cards right now that are just going to reflect a question that I might not have answered in the main spread. You can find the link for the extended version in the description in the comment section underneath. It's just a way to support my work in the channel, and I really appreciate those of you that decide to join me. So we're just going to begin with the Queen of Wands and clarification here, and we've got High Priestess coming in. Also the Hanged Man. And another energy of the Fool. You do know what's right for you this month, Aquarius. It's just finding the bravery to act upon it. 4 of Wands, 3 of Wands, beautiful. And the energy of Death coming in, just bringing that change, new life cycle. We've got another Queen of Wands here, so this might be really significant by way of a fire energy for some of you. And the World coming through here. Okay, 5 of Pentacles with your Knight of Swords. Knight of Cups. Both these knights are traveling in different directions. It's going to be an interesting message here. And the 10 of Wands. Okay, 5 of Wands. The Knights of Pentacles. Okay, we've also got the King of Wands coming through here as well for you. And the Magician clarified again. Really making things happen for yourself this month, you know. There is a focus that I love emerging. Beautiful. You know, the fourth house really talks about property relocation and just new beginnings in and around moves to do with your foundation. So whether it be, you know, your own home or your work home, or this is also getting lit up. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. If you'd like to join me for the extended, we'll pull out some additional messages here. Thank you so much, Aquarius. I'm going to send you beautiful blessings for April, and I'll see you again next month. Bye for now.